Hello, welcome to the walk around video of my 1990 Isuzu Trooper. This rig has been my project car, daily driver, work vehicle for 5 years now. I originally bought it as a parts car actually. I brought it home, decided it was far too nice to turn into a parts vehicle. It needed a transmission. I got a lower mileage transmission for it, threw it in and started driving it. It needed tons of other work other than it was clean. I threw tires on it right away, put some 265 75 15s on it. They fit no problem. I could easily run 32s on this thing probably if I wanted. Once I put the new tires on it, it was time to rebuild the front end. I didn't want to tear up my new tires, so it got ball joints, tie rod ends, control arm bushings, sway bar bushings, everything's greased, shocks, axles, you name it. Everything you could touch, all the seals, everything was replaced in the front end. I added a set of ACE locking hubs to it to replace the auto lockers. The auto lockers worked fine, but these manual locking hubs are ultra dependable and strong, and found them at a junkyard. Nice thing about these Troopers is they're not super plentiful at the junkyard. However, when you find them, they don't seem to be too picked over. This is an S model. A lot of the S models, these bosses where your wipers go through wear out. They get egg-shaped. Your wipers get all floppy. I've sourced a few of those that were in good shape, so my wipers work nice. Replaced a windshield. Those windshields are getting hard to find, so you're able to pop those in and out yourself. I replaced that myself. I actually then swapped wiper delay into this out of an LS model, so it's got wiper delay. I swapped in an LS steering wheel in excellent condition, so I got a leather steering wheel for it. I've kept it manual crank because it's dependable. I've replaced all the dash lights in it, so all my dash lights work. I swapped in a period correct tape deck CD changer for it. I've done the heater core. If you're ever in the junkyard and find a good heater core for one of these things, grab it. They're getting really hard to come by. I've replaced the door hinges on it. The springs blow out on these door hinges. A good hack for these Troopers. The door hinge that wears out on the driver's side top is the same as the top door hinge on the back passenger door, and they're usually not worn out. So I've done that and replaced all the door hinges, so they all work good. I've swapped on Isuzu pup mirrors for it. They're slightly bigger. Those are great. I've swapped out the fabric on the driver's seat to get a mint driver's seat. The fabric is symmetrical between passenger and driver's side, so you just got to cut all the hog rings. The bolstering, the fabric, everything stretches right back over the metal. You got to poke a hole in one side and tape over a hole in the other side that doesn't even show really, and you got yourself a nice seat. So got good seats for it. I don't know, so much work on this thing. I'm sure I'm going to forget something. I've replaced the shift boot underneath. This has some aftermarket carpet kit in it with this shift boot on it, but underneath there it's got a nice shiny shift boot on it. Those are getting very hard to come by. Once again, if you see one that's not ripped at the junkyard, you better grab it. Nobody's remaking those anywhere. These Troopers don't have quite a big enough community that that there's a lot of stuff available yet. They made a lot of them, so they're out there for there's parts out there if you look for them still. I've swapped in a limited slip rear diff in this. The LS, some of the LS models came with a rear limited slip, so this I've swapped that in. New rear shocks on it. It's got a tow package that it came with. I pulled that off when I pulled the rear tank or the fuel tank and replaced the fuel pump in it, and I repainted my hitch and redid all my wiring at that time. Found this nice bumper. My original bumper had a slight bend in it down here, so I recently found this really nice straight bumper and swapped that on. Got nice end caps for it. These little plugs on this end cap, those are getting hard to find. It took me literally 2 years to find that end cap right there. But it turned up at the junkyard eventually. It's got these lovely old man steps on it, I call it. They're nice 3M brand Aero steps. Somebody loved this thing when it was original. I sure wish I could have gotten some paperwork. I didn't get any kind of paperwork for it, so the only records I have is of the things that I've done. I did find an owner's manual out of a 91 at a junkyard. They're really exactly the same other than the year on it, but I like to have that stuff. I like, any of that kind of those kind of things. My little Isuzu keychain. Boy, I sure wish I had an Isuzu key for it. So yeah, that's my 1990 Trooper. It's been really dependable. And honestly, the only problem I've had with it is I blew a head gasket on it once, and that's a fairly common problem with these. Kind of due to some design issues, let's say. They have some little coolant hoses that preheat the intake on it, and those coolant hoses are buried and they blow out and you don't see it. Look up Johnny 5 on YouTube. He's got a bunch of great videos on these Troopers, and he'll show you how to eliminate that problem with his 5-tech mod, and it also makes it easier to work on. It moves some things that are buried under the intake up high where they're a little easier to work on. So when I blew the head gasket, it got all new head, valves, everything. It's got a head without the smog ports on it, so I've desmogged it. All new exhaust. It had a cracked exhaust manifold when I took it apart, probably because of some burnt valves that were heating the exhaust a little too hot in one spot. So it did get all new exhaust all the way back, new EGR pipe. Those are actually available from Isuzu. If you contact your local NPR Isuzu dealer, they'll still get you those out of Japan. Takes a little while, but they're available. So yeah, I mean, under the hood, I've tried to keep the whole vehicle pretty much as stock as I could. Replaced the radiator. I've, lots of little things I guess I've done to it. Like I said, I'm sure I'm gonna forget something, but tried to do what I can do to make it as dependable as possible, because like I said, it is my work car too. So it's got to get me there every day and start up dependably. These little clips, boy, it took me a while to find a pair of those clips that hold that rod and everything in place, and your jack crank extension. So I've tried to hunt down every little part that I can to make it as right as possible. Came with this really nice bug guard on it here that even has the Isuzu logo on it. I love that stuff. NOS. I've replaced chip headlights in these. Everybody seems to want the round headlights, so I keep the square ones. They're a little bit easier to come by than trying to find the round grill to run the round headlights. So replaced both the headlights with nice shiny lights. Got this aftermarket period correct bumper off of an Isuzu buddy of mine. The Isuzu Trooper community is a great place to be. It's small, but the people are super friendly and want to help you out and want to see these things kept on the road. I've tried to keep it as clean and as nice as I can. Like I said, it's a Survivor. It's not a restoration project. The clear coat's certainly showing its age on the hood. We'll call that patina. I got a door dent recently. I dropped a wheelbarrow into the door of it on a windy day, so I did get some dent repair done to it just recently. Look up Peterson Dent Repair on YouTube. He did great work. You can hardly tell it's there. From 5 feet away, you can't see it at all. He did really good it's been a fun project. They're easy to work on. They're dependable. Parts are readily available. The cabin is cavernous. Tons of room in them. You could sleep in the back of it if you wanted. I've hauled all sorts of stuff. You know, it's a cavernous interior. My buddy Ian hooked me up with this awesome tonneau cover. I wanted to give him a shout out too, because once again, Isuzu Trooper community, great. My period correct CD changer back there. I do have a factory tape deck for this, but I kind of like my CD changer, so I just try and keep it factory, you know, or period correct as possible, down to my my period correct crossover and amp under the seat. So yeah, that's my Trooper, man. It's fun times. Come join the club, join the community, buy a Trooper. They're fun. Thanks for watching. Bye.